Okay, well, hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Brandon. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Nice to
Good.
see you.
Why don't we start at the beginning? Can you tell me and us, where you started training? Did you start at a local studio? All of
Mhm.
that.
I started in a school that was part of a regional ballet company. So it was a very strict like ballet conservatory called the Tampa Ballet Academy. And I started when I was a little bit older than most, but I was a late bloomer. So I was able to sort of like get my body into it before it changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and it was a tiny school, so there was like a lot of individual attention,
Mhm.
and we got to perform as apprentices with the regional company.
Oh, cool.
So that was an experience for me, and during that time, um, I had opportunities to go in the summers to work with different companies like American Ballet Theater, or like the training things. And my teacher chose for me to go to the Joffrey and to work with Robert Joffrey. So I spent 5 summers in a row working with Robert Joffrey, like taking class with him. And that was really, I think it was really important for me because the Joffrey company sort of encompassed a lot of different genres of dance. And Robert Joffrey was really so well known for bringing in new and innovative choreographers into his repertoire. So at a young age, I was kind of exposed to this idea that a classical ballet company could be more than just a
Right.
Swan Lake.
Right.
And that really appealed to me because, the Joffrey Ballet was performing, like works by Mark Morris and Twyla Tharp. And before people really knew who they.
That was unique for the time.
Very,
Yeah.
very unique. So, and then I just went from that high school training and I went right into the Joffrey training company, which is called Joffrey 2 Dancers. And again, much of the work we did there was more contemporary. We did very few straight classical ballets. I think that I was lucky in that I've always had the desire to learn different ways of moving. I didn't feel threatened by the idea that I might be doing something awkward or unusual. And I always tell this story, but I'll make it fast. When I was in high school, and at that time you got your dance magazine in the mail,
Of course.
and
Yeah.
go through it. And there were two. Talk about manifesting. There were 2 photographs that when I was in high school I pulled out of there, and one was Twyla Tharp, and one was Anne Reinking.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
Yes,
And that
it
was
is.
your
So,
like dream board, like right there.
kind of. I didn't really know it. I just knew that I thought that they were cool, and I wasn't the dancer who had the picture of Gelsey Kirkland on their wall, or Macar. I loved them.
Yeah.
But no, I had like a funky little sweat thing with Misha and Anne and her like heels and her. So in the back of my mind, that was always, these alternate ways of dancing were always they were always in my world, part of my desire.
Yeah.
So when I started doing other choreography, I think I was very fortunate to work with patient choreographers like Mark Heim. I don't know if you know Mark, but I worked with him. He was one of the first modern choreographers I worked with, and he was so lovely. And Chuseong Go, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but he was a phenomenal contemporary ballet choreographer and the resident choreographer at Washington Ballet at that time. And I think because we were a training company, choreographers sort of straddled the line between teachers and creators. I had been at Joffrey for about 10 years. And even at that time in that company model, we all found that we had a slot that we fit into.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever was our thing that we were really good at and that we could accomplish in the least amount of time,
Yeah.
that's where we're going to go.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of the same kind of repertory.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the repertory I had been doing for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was feeling really like I wasn't going anywhere, even though I appreciated and was so grateful to do amazing choreography.
Of course.
So I did a really rogue thing, and I thought, I need to get out of here. I felt really desperate for something different. And so I secretly auditioned for Elliot Feld.
Oh my God.
And he invited me to join his company, and I left the Joffrey and danced with Elliot Feld, where I also grew so much because he really, he's how should I put it? And the company was very small. The company only had 12 people. So, when you were on tour, you were dancing every single ballet every night. So I got so strong. I gained a physical strength that I had never had before. Also, because in a smaller company, it's like cross training. You have to do everything. Mm-hmm. And in the big company, I never did anything that was fast or, super
right.
athletic. Lyrical Liz or,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
I danced with way of doing it.
Yes. So I danced with Elliot for a couple years, and then I actually went back to the Joffrey because that was I was invited to come back because they were doing this full-length evening called Billboards with music by Prince. And that was my first taste of kind of like something that was more commercial. Mm-hmm. Because we toured with that Prince ballet and sold out every show, packed house, screaming people, like
totally.
outrageous fans and that kind of a thing. So it was very different from the sort of classical ballet audience.
Yeah.
And those 2 years we toured with it, and I just saved every penny I had with the thought that when it was over, I would leave for good. That big company setup.
Right.
So that's what I did, and I left, and I did not really have any work. I just had a large amount of money in the bank, and I thought, I can survive for a while, and I just really wanted to investigate life, and I started taking voice lessons and acting classes. I'd always been interested in acting, mm-hmm. and I started taking theater dance classes at Broadway Dance Center, and I was freelancing, and I started to work with some choreographers. I worked with Mark Dendy and John Carafa and Eagle Perry, and I started working for Donald Byrd, and just as a guest artist. And then that relationship with Donald Byrd really started to grow, and I found myself in his company.
Unexpectedly, because you seem to want to have time to like investigate and put your feelers out there, and then it was
just like, because I had done a few guest artist things with him, and then he was like, I think you need to be in my company. And so I said yes, because I have to say I loved working with him.
Yeah.
And I would venture to say to this day he is still one of my main mentors. And I think that he really taught me more about performance and commitment than just about anybody.
There is something about the lineage of dance where, dance educators do have a lot of influence over studios, but choreographers, teachers, everyone can shape you, and every relationship I've found is so important, and you learn so many different things from so many different people. And allowing yourself to always be a student, no matter what age you are, is so valuable.
I absolutely agree with that. And even as now I'm more of a teacher and arts administrator, and I am really constantly saying to myself, what's possible? Do you know what I mean? What is possible in a situation? What is, I think as artists, we really are trained in a way where we're more adept at finding possibility in situations that might seem challenging than other people are, say a businessman. But I do think that all human beings have this creative ability. We're just not all tuned into it.
Yeah.
We just do it naturally. So the Donald really helped me with seeing more possibilities and seeing more possibilities within myself. And I grew a lot in his company, and I gained a kind of crazy confidence that was just so valuable. And I don't think that I would have gone on to successfully work with Twyla Tharp if I hadn't have had that time with Donald. Because basically he requires that you be an adult.
It's very important to be able to zoom out, to be an adult and responsible, and also to zoom out and see your place in the show or in the thing you're working on.
And to see your place, and then to have a point of view, because you will work with some choreographers who they are looking for your contribution.
Absolutely.
And one thing about my life at the Joffrey Ballet was that it was a little bit the opposite. It was in a ballet company, it's a little more about being told what to do, and doing it precisely that way. But you know, when I worked with Donald and also with Elliot, and then again with Twyla, you cannot work with those people and not have a strong point of view of your own. You cannot wait for them to tell you what to do or how to do it.
It's funny, you spend so long being obedient and being told what to do, but no one ever tells you that, like, it's also just important to be like an interesting person and a risk taker and a creative contributor, because that is a huge part of any creative process.
And to me, like, I think that I feel like for students who are in high school, I think that is one of the most important things to give them at an earlier age than I got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my own teaching, I tried really hard to get my students to talk, to answer questions, to use their voice, to not be afraid. In classical ballet, there's still this master student kind of thing, you know, where don't speak unless you're spoken to, like that you have a right to an opinion. But I feel very, very strongly about giving students that power earlier, because I feel it gets them ahead of the game.
Totally. And I was going to ask you about that, because having been to Fine Line, it is just like a completely different energy. You know, there's a sense of community and there's a sense of artistic practice, and you can feel that in the dancers there, you know, and I find that interesting that you have sort of maybe changed, I don't want to speak for you, but maybe you can speak upon it, maybe changing your core values of dance education from being from a small ballet studio, you know, the studious ballet school, to running your own business and sharing art and sort of flipping that on its head through your experiences.
I think it's really important to have, if you have a school or if you have anything that you're involved in, like, to have an intention about what you want it to be like. I believe I really look at my students as individuals. How is this practice going to help them become better human beings? How is this practice going to give them a voice? How is this practice, this form, going to give them skills that will help them in all parts of their life?
And I I completely agree with this mission. And part of what we try to do with Dance Device Lab is to sort of piggyback off that is support and encourage. I find so many dancers, you know, after high school, they don't continue with it. And
I know, it makes me so sad.
it makes me so sad too. And that's okay if you're not gonna, if you're not interested, or if it doesn't work out to be a professional dancer.
Yeah.
We need a community to survive. You need administrators. If you're going to go be a doctor, we need donors to come to the ballet and support it. And physical, yeah, exactly. So keeping a sense of community and that interest, that long-term interest, is so valuable.
A lot of dance schools, I feel like some students really, not because their teachers are doing this, but they put themselves down, like, oh, I'm not as good as the girl who gets all the parts.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that girl who's getting all the parts might be the one that goes to college and studies business and quits. And this person is the one that becomes the dancer.
Absolutely.
So it's like you have to be able to empower everyone, so that they know that there is no set path. There's no way to know that, like, oh, this person will succeed and that person won't. You just don't know that. And your teacher doesn't know it, and you don't know it.
Nope.
And I've just seen it happen so many times where somebody will say something so damaging, like, oh, I don't think you can really be a dancer or something.
Such a great through line to remember when you are not only teaching dancers, but when you are actively dancing or running a school. You know, it's like, how many times in your career has one person, I know for me, one person has created an entire fork in my road. You know, one person saying yes, no to something, and then it's like, zoom, that happened. And that can happen in any place, in any time. Powerful. You have really kept your creative practice going. Where do you draw inspiration from? I
am really inspired right now by meditation. I meditate a lot. And in the past, I've sort of tended to be a real perfectionist and a real, like, dutiful person. And I'm trying to let go of that a little bit. And the meditation has really helped me. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of possibility. If we create so many of these boxes around ourselves, we're just missing out on a lot.
And that can allow some space and mental freedom and capacity to be able to switch your perspective and rethink things.
Yes. And it's important to be able to be both of those things. And that's why I like to meditate. Meditating really helps me access the more creative part of myself. Something about that practice, and it's sort of the letting go and just relaxing, and suddenly I can feel a little bit of a shift in my brain. And that's been helpful because I need those other parts of myself too.
Yeah, of course.
I need the part that is professional.
Right. The business owner, yeah.
Right. So I'm looking for more of a balance. So I've really been getting into meditation and also sort of the scientific theories behind quantum physics and alternative dimensions.
Love it. I love that. Talk about perspective shifting.
I'm so into it. I know we're having this discussion for teachers and studio owners. I think that, studio owners can also follow their instincts about what they think is important. Just because the studio, down the street is doing something, that doesn't mean you have to do what they're doing. If you have a strong opinion about how you feel from your heart that you want to train dancers, go for it.
It creates diversity in the field, and it creates a sense of you know, it's your business and your own creative voice. And that is,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you might be happier.
totally.
You know,
Yeah.
being yourself and
Yep.
doing the things that feel good to you.
Absolutely.
Um, and I see that with schools. I think it's really interesting. Like I will see sometimes these, small ballet schools that are so beautiful
Mhm.
because the teacher has this very heartfelt love for it. And then other schools where, they're doing everything and it's like there's just no one way to do it. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And uh yeah, and with my school I've been really happy with where my students have, like, how they've gone on in life.
Mhm.
And I have a few that are dancing that went on to dance and are doing really well, mostly in musical theater and with the Rockettes and stuff like that. um, I haven't, well, actually, I was gonna say I haven't really had any ballerinas, but I did send one of my girls to North Carolina School of the Arts to finish her junior and senior year because I felt like she had the potential, and I didn't feel like I could give her everything that she needed in terms of partnering, all of these different things that you
Right.
need for classical
Right.
ballet. So she went there and she just graduated and she's a trainee at Miami City Ballet.
It's amazing.
So, and I trained her from
Ballerina.
when she was little through 10th grade. So we got her there. And I think that's the other thing too. Like, I'm not afraid to send them where I feel like
Right.
they can,
Right.
they can grow.
Absolutely. You have given so much incredible insight and you're such an inspiration. And we started this conversation with you saying, you pulled out Anne Reinking and Twyla out of a magazine. That goes to like your general curiosity and interest. And what is incredible is hearing about that throughout your entire performance career and how you've continued that into your teaching and entrepreneurship and in every facet of your life. So I can't thank you enough for sharing all of this with us. You're such a
You're
joy
welcome.
and inspiration.
My pleasure.
Well, thank you, and have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you.